So why is capturing so important? Well, there are at least 5 very good reasons, and here they are. Reason number 1, capturing lets you get your ideas across really quickly before you've invested too much time and effort creating them. Have you ever been in a situation in which you've done a lot of work for a client, or maybe for your boss, and then realized way too late that they had something completely different in mind and you had to go back and redo a lot of the work? Only now your heart's not really in it anymore, right? Because you feel you're going against your better judgment on this thing. So you're doing mediocre work just to get it over with. Not very inspiring, right? But listen, this happens to so many artists, and I've seen it with my own eyes so many times. And it's so easy to just blame your boss or your client, say, he explained it wrong, he wasn't clear. But I'm sorry to say that this is easily solved by making a capture and discussing it early on. And then another thing I hear a lot is this idea that, yeah, this client just can't see a rough sketch. It will only confuse him, so I must only show him the almost complete thing. Well, I've been doing creative work for many different kinds of clients for almost 20 years now, and I have yet to meet a client that can't understand a good capture. And you might not like hearing that, but if a client can't understand your capture, chances are your capture is just not clear enough. Well, the good news are that in this course you'll learn how to capture your ideas in such a way that they really communicate. And by the way, this is also helpful if you are the client, you're the boss. If you want to get really good at showing your vision to your team and have them understand it and make it happen, you need to get good at communicating your ideas. And capturing is the best way of doing it, much better than explaining. What about if you have an idea that you want to sell, maybe to an investor of some kind? Again, being really good at capturing will help you get people on board. Case in point, I once had a great opportunity to make a little fun project with some friends. We were all between projects for a few weeks, but I knew it was just a matter of time before all of us got busy again, so I had to act fast. I had this idea for a short film and I captured it in just a few hours. Very roughly, of course, but there it was. And then I pitched it to the guys, and they got excited about it, and we actually did end up making that film together, which was a really great experience. I wouldn't have been able to make that happen if I hadn't been able to capture the essence of that film so fast. Reason number 2. One of the biggest problems, especially in bigger creative projects, is that it's very easy to get lost. I mean, here you are working on this wonderful creative project for maybe several weeks, maybe even several months, and you just get distracted along the way. It's so easy to kind of drift away from your original strong vision until all of a sudden, boom, you realize you have no idea where you're headed. Does that sound familiar? Well, capturing lets you nail down that original idea when it's still fresh, so that it doesn't go away. Like a lighthouse, that capture is always there to remind you what the whole thing is really about, what is the essence, what's important about it. Reason number 3 is that captures let you try many options quickly. Whether you're brainstorming ideas or trying out different solutions to a tough creative problem, capturing is the key to experimenting before you commit. My research of the creative process, as well as my own personal experience, tell me that one of the main differences between competent artists and struggling artists is that competent artists spend a lot of time experimenting with different solutions, whereas struggling artists spend a lot of time fixing their mistakes. And of course, experimenting is the faster and more fun way of doing it. But the reason for this difference, at least in part, is that if you're not so good at capturing, if it takes you too much time and the result just confuses you more, which is often the case with people who aren't used to capturing, then you kind of have no choice but to just plunge into it and hope for the best. So in this course, you're going to learn the basic skill that will allow you to experiment rather than fix. Alright, reason number 4. This is a bit complicated, but be patient because it's the bottom line that matters. Working in passes is a technique in which you work in layers, starting with broad strokes and then gradually adding texture and complexity to the work. It's a great technique for dealing with really big and complex stuff. If you've seen my 4 Creative Breakthroughs course, you should have a good idea what this is all about. And if you haven't seen it, or if you want to refresh your memory, you'll find more information in the PDF in the very last lecture of this course. Now, the reason I'm talking about working in passes here is that if you think about it, what you're doing is essentially layering captures one on top of the other. For example, this is a really quick capture, and then a more refined capture comes on top of it, and so on. This idea deserves a longer explanation than this, but I don't want to get too far into it here, so just trust me on this one. I'm going to explain this in great detail in the Go Make course, which is the 4th course of the complete Go Create program. Here's the bottom line though. Capture happens all the time throughout the creative process, from the preliminary search of ideas through the development stage and all through the gradual working in passes process. All you ever do is just layer upon layer upon layers of capturing in different levels. So the capture is actually the basic building block of creativity. Let me repeat that. Capture is actually the basic building block of creativity. It's the creative atom that allows us to create wonderfully detailed and complex works without getting lost. I find it interesting, by the way, that being good at quick and rough captures is actually the very skill you need in order to do slow, refined, and detailed work. There's one more reason that capture is important. Have you ever wished you could work faster without losing quality? Have you known maybe someone who was way faster than you and you just couldn't figure out how they do it? Well, if you think about it, what happens if you're always clear on where you're going, if you never waste time on going the wrong direction, if you experiment instead of fixing your mistakes, and if you master a skill that is actually the basic building block of the entire creative process? Here's what happens. You get faster, and I mean way faster, like 2 or 3 times as faster. All you have to do is master the skill of capture, and this course is where you start doing that.